Hey everybody, so this is a pretty big update on the inventory. I wanted to start off by pointing out that here I've gotten my four characters, and two of them have a sword and shield chosen, and then this one's got a sword, this one has the shield skill. When we press play here, and then we go into the inventory, you can see that the characters now have weapons and armor given to them. So if someone starts out with a shield skill, they're going to have a shield, sword skill, sword, and so on. Right now I only have a sword and a shield. These are both primitives. But I wanted to show you what's going on behind the scenes here. So up here you can see what we have on the UI. So there's physical objects for the sword and shield. They're just primitives put together with some basic textures. And then the character is actually a 3D representation. That way, if you really wanted to, you could actually rotate the character. Where's my character? There we go. You could rotate the whole thing and have it move in the video. There's some lighting issues I still have to work out with that. If I want to do that, I haven't actually tried to do that, so that's why it doesn't work yet. So there's a lot here, and honestly, I'm probably going to end up redoing the entire system at some point. But I wanted to go over just some of the basic stuff. We have the player portraits, and in the player portrait includes the player up here. All four of them are here. We now have a different layer for every portrait. Reason being is I realized we couldn't use render textures for this system because when you click on something in a render texture, you don't actually click on the object you're looking at, you click on the render texture itself. So these can't be render textures, they have to be actual objects. And they're actually children of the canvas. That way, when we close the window, they go up and down with the canvas. It turns out you can actually make an object a child of the canvas. So that's how that works. The scripts that are important live on in two scripts on player panel inventory. We have the player inventory script and the inventory control script. Now again, when I started doing this, I wasn't actually sure how I was going to accomplish this. I knew what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how to do it. And it took the better part of 5 days, mostly on and off every day. To get it working. Actually, maybe more than that. So these scripts could actually, they likely could be combined, but they aren't at this point. And a lot of the functions might be able to be streamlined. In essence, I'm not going to go over every single one because there's a lot of different functions. There's a lot of comments here telling you what I'm doing, so you can kind of get the idea of it. Yeah, and there's a new class for the grids. In essence, you're able to move these around, and I urge you to go through, if you're really interested in figuring out how I did this, go through the comments here. I've left a lot of comments that you can figure out where, right here is the check inventory click. So when I click, it actually looks to see what I've hit. And it looks to see if it's an inventory item because it has the inventory item script on it, or if it's a player model item, which has the player model item script on it. In essence, every one of these items is inside the inventory bag here has a inventory script on it. And the inventory item script has some just very basic stuff. Again, some stuff I commented out because it turns out I didn't need it. Eventually they might be destroyed, or not destroyed, but removed. I might just remove that. And there's a function here like shift bag ID, which shifts the ID of the bag up one so that if an item in the player's bag gets removed, everything beneath that goes up one in the list. And there's some new classes, and so it's too much to go through one by one. But as you use this, you can see what we're doing, and you can go through that. So if the idea is now players can move this around, they can reorganize things. If you see the red boxes there, it means you can't move the item there. You can also transfer between players just by dragging down to the other player. You can transfer to yourself, and it will find a new spot. So if I have that sword there, move this one over, it'll right there, and uh, um, and of course you can equip. So right here you see that the weapon actually gets equipped on the object, on the model, and we can equip both of those. And then you can de-equip just by selecting it, moving it back to your inventory. Why aren't I? There we go. We might need to make bigger colliders on these objects, especially the small ones. I can imagine a dagger being very hard to choose. And if you move it off, it will get re-equipped. If you move it down, you can instantly. Oh, I'm already selected. You transfer it to another player directly. So if your pack is full, you can just transfer it to another player. I think I still need to do logic for what happens if you have too much stuff. I think I need to have an option to drop the item. If you've got too much stuff you want to just get rid of stuff, you could drop it and it will appear in the world. We do have, on that note, we have a separation between the objects here, which is a world object. This is the object you might find in the world, in a pickup or on the ground, and the inventory version. The inventory version, I did add the name inventory at the end. In the scripting, that name inventory and the clone that Unity creates get stripped, but I like to have it here so I can keep them separated. Inventory, of course, has the inventory item. These have the player model item script on them, and this just says what type of item it is. So short sword. Hey, that doesn't even have that. I don't even know if I need this. This might not even be required. I'm not sure. That's how confused I am by my own stuff. But the point is there's two separate things there. And then, of course, inside the game, when we have something equipped, each model has its own set of equipped objects. So for every item that you have that's equipable in your game, you're going to have one that's regular that can be used in the world, one that's for the inventory that's going to be viewable here only. And that's important because the sizing matters for how many grid spaces it takes up. And then you're going to have one version for each player attached on that player's position. That way it will be visible here, and if it's a helmet, it will be visible on the small player portraits as well. So again, I'm not going to go through all the nitty-gritty details. Suffice to say that it works. As far as I can tell, there's no bugs anymore, and it works in touch, which is great as well. You can just point your finger, touch it, and drag it around, equip and de-equip, and all that good stuff. So let me know if you have any questions, but I think it should be fairly easy to figure out with all these the console prints right here. Again, I might make it more concise later once I get more comfortable with it. I know I need to add a lot more, like I said, for the dropping of the items, but also for items that you use, like a potion. If this was a potion, I want to be able to drag it down. Even right there was a bug. What was that? Something happened. Yep, see that? Another bug. I'll have to fix that. Not sure why that's happening. That should be not droppable, and I believe, yeah. So I don't know why it's not. Yeah. So there's another bug there. Clearly, I have another bug. I'll have to figure that out. I think the best thing to do, and what I'm probably going to do, is ignore this for now. Keep going forward, and at some point come back to it and redo it when I'm a little bit more refreshed on the topic. For the most part, it's working. But anyways, oh, see, yeah, I think, yeah, I need to figure that one out. If this were a potion, I'd want to be able to drag it here, and when I let go, it will actually use the potion. If it's a potion that gives more hit points, it will give the player hit points, hit point bump, and whatnot. And then if it's like something like a letter, if you drag it over to one of your characters, it will read it. And I also need a way of, perhaps if you hold something for more than half a second without moving, it brings up the details of the item. So stuff like that needs to be added. But this is a great start. Obviously, I've got this issue here where these two apparently seem to have maybe the same ID, or something. I'll have to figure that out. They both should have the solid background for indicating that these grid items or grid spots are currently used. So there you go. I hope this helps you out, and I hope you enjoy following this whole series.